Okay, we're back. This is Matgen110, Chapter 7. This is 7.2, Part 2. So we're going to factor out a 12 on number 7. Get x minus 2. We're going to factor that. Multiplies to be 4, but adds to be negative. So our suspects for 4 are -1, -4, or -2, -2. So that's x minus 2 is who done it. We make that a time sign. X plus 2 goes on the top. 4x goes on the bottom. We always multiply by the reciprocal. All right. And now, top times top, bottom times bottom. Numerator times numerator. We get 12, x minus 2, x plus 2. On the bottom, we get 4x, x minus 2, x minus 2. And now we cancel anything that can be canceled. So the 4 will go into 12 3 times. X is just going to stay. X minus 2's go. Can't do a thing with those. They're conjugates. So our answer is 3 times x plus 2 on the top. And just x times x minus 2 on the bottom. Now, leave it factored. You don't have to multiply it back in. I get students that write 3x plus 6 and x squared minus 2x, and that's right, it's correct, but don't do that. We prefer it to be factored. Factored form is better for us, especially when we go on to the next math where we're worried about graphing. So here we divide out a 3, factor out a 3, we get m squared minus 9. Multiplies to be -3, not a lot of stuff. Multiplies to be -3. 1 and 3, -1 and 3, or -3 and 1. It's got to be the -3 and 1, so m minus 3, m plus 1. Make it a times sign. Multiplies to be 1, adds to be 2. That's got to be plus 1 and plus 1. And factor out a 6, m plus 3. And we're not done. Let's get them in order and factor this. So we get 3 times m plus 3, m minus 3. M plus 1, m plus 1. Over 6, m minus 3, m plus 1, m plus 3. And now let's cancel. We'll cancel anything that's same top and bottom. So mind where the 2 ends up. Look, 3 goes into 6 twice, but the 2 is on the bottom. So this is like 1 over 2. M plus 3's go, m minus 3's go, plus 1's go. So everything canceled off at the bottom except for 2. And on the top, we just have m plus 1. And that's it. All right. And again, if you don't want to put those parentheses there, you don't have to. That big long divide by sign basically implies those parentheses. All right. So 2 more problems and 7.2 will be done. We got 2m plus 1. This is number 9 on page 5 of the note packet. M squared plus 11m minus 6 times m plus 6. So look at what's going on here. We have parentheses there, more or less. This one is tougher. Let's do factor the AC method. So that means we're going to take AC method. Means we're going to take this leading coefficient 2, multiply it by -6, get -12, then build our list of suspects. So -1 and 12, -12 and 1, -2 and 6, -6 and 2, -3 and 4, 4 and 3. So everything that multiplies to be -12. The very first one adds up to 11. So what we're going to do with this is substitute in -1m plus 12m. That adds up to 11m. But we want to sub it in so that we can factor this by grouping. So now we're going to factor by grouping. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. We factor the GCF, greatest common factor. Out of the first two, that's going to just be m. Out of the first two terms. So we have 2m minus 1 left, plus is still there, and we can factor a 6 out of the second two, and that's 2m minus 1. And now look, we have 2m minus 1 and 2m minus 1, so we can factor that out. 2m minus 1, and we're left with m plus 6. All right. Okay, so let's write it out. We got 2m plus 1, m plus 6 on the top, and we have 2m minus 1, m plus 6 on the bottom. And so this is the same numerator and denominator, so m plus 6's go. We cannot do a thing with the conjugates. You just leave it 2m plus 1 or 2m minus 1. Don't do anything silly like taking out the 2's or the m's or anything, because it's being added. So it's either all or nothing. It's either the whole binomial or you leave it alone. So this one gets left alone. You can put the parentheses on there if you'd like. All right. Okay, let's look at the last one. Is pretty similar. So number 10 is 4y squared minus y minus 3 over 3y minus 3 divided by 4y plus 3. So that one is going to factor, we can factor out a 3 on the bottom, get y minus 1. This is over 1, remember, so we'll reverse it. And instead of doing the AC method, we could do the AC method again on this. Let's try to factor it with what we have here. Let's guess and check. We'll do this one. We'll try 4y plus 3. So if this is one of the factors, now you kind of work backwards. We're going to say, okay, 4y times what gives me 4y squared? Well, 4y times y gives me 4y squared. And then positive 3 times what gives me negative 3? Well, that's got to be negative 1. Now, we got the first term locked in. 4y times y is 4y squared. We got the last term locked in. Positive 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. But we have to check that middle term. So look, we multiply those two, you get 3y. You multiply those two, you get negative 4y. And if I add 3y and negative 4y together, I do get negative 1. So that's factored correctly. And, oh, look, everything cancels. Well, except for the 1 and the 3. So 4y plus 3's, y minus 1's. We're left with 1 on top, 3 on bottom. So 1/3. That reduces down, simplifies down to 1/3. All right, next video will be 7.3.